Hey, welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm your host, Greg Majeski, your personal weatherman, bringing you the weather without all that social media hype here on your Saturday, October 26th, 2024. Now, before we get going, as I've been doing all month here, if you'd like to scan this QC code here and help the victims of Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton as they continue to do the cleanup there, the relief efforts takes weeks. So please go ahead and consider making a donation here to the American Red Cross and help those in need. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what we're tracking here for this edition as we're looking at potential for some severe rounds ahead, maybe a couple of them here in the 10-day. We'll take a look at the latest European model on that. Definitely going to be seeing the temperatures pretty warm for the most part here in the east, but a big time chill down, a little cold weather coming in out toward the west. We'll show you that as well. And then we'll continue to monitor the tropics. Still some uncertainty out there as we'll see if there's anything developing out into the Caribbean. Now, before we get going, I first want to thank the new subscribers to the channel. And if you haven't yet subscribed, come on board. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you like what you see, please, as always, leave a comment down below. Give me a thumbs up. It does help with the YouTube algorithm. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our morning satellite imagery. It's pretty quiet here from coast to coast. A little disturbance here rolling in out of the Intermountain region into the high plains, but really a very, very quiet pattern across the United States. This is going to be changing, folks, as we go into the new work week coming up and as we go into November. We're definitely going to see a little more of a progressive pattern. So it's been kind of dull for the most part, but things are going to start getting a little more active here as we wrap up October and head into November. So we do have a frontal system here stretching across the country. Now a little bit of chilly here. Temperatures here in the 30s and even some 20s across Minnesota up here. Getting a little warm front with a little bit of rain shower activity here, a little bit in the northwest, but really kind of hard to find the local radar for the day that I typically use just to find the rain out there. But for the most part, looks like the trend will keep most of the east and half of the United States with above normal temperatures, but definitely getting colder and colder out here in the west. Now, as far as our watches and warnings out there, we're dealing with some fog along the Gulf Coast here for this morning. Looking at red flag warnings up there in the northeast, a little windy up here into areas of Montana as well as into Oregon as well for right now. But otherwise, not looking too bad across most of the country. Weather radar here of the day I'm looking at here is kind of up here toward the Pacific Northwest. This is the Olympia area here, getting some showers here streaming in off the Pacific with that next system moving in up there. But really, it's probably the best radar I could find out there for this morning. Most of the precipitation that's falling across the country is pretty light and not amounting to much. But I'm telling you, it's going to change a little bit. When I show you that model data here in a second, you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, let's talk about our weather city of the day. I chose Gatlinburg, Tennessee, one of my favorite places. This is an awesome time of year. Look at the color out here. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's also kind of the clash of the seasons. We got the Christmas tree coming up, and we got the pumpkins out there at the same time. It's really awesome out there. But if you plan on going to Gatlinburg for today, may get a little rain here. I don't think it'll be anything too widespread. It's going to be partly cloudy with a scattered shower or thunderstorm for today and high temperature of 74 degrees. And if you would like to go ahead and nominate your city as the weather city of the day and you got a good webcam, perhaps on YouTube or some other source, just go ahead and take that link and paste it down below, and I'll consider it for a future broadcast. All right, time to shift gears now as we go over to the Storms Prediction Center and see what our friends there are predicting as far as thunderstorm potential here over the next several days. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. This is your day one outlook here for today. So we're going to kind of step through this and see where we're going to expect some thunderstorms out there. The good news is for Saturday and Sunday and for Monday, I'm not anticipating any major problems out there. Again, just a couple little pockets here for potential for thunderstorms here on your Saturday, but nothing too widespread. Let's check out the day two outlook. Looks like it's just only going to be heading out toward the areas toward the Pacific Northwest as we got another little front coming in out there. So that's your Sunday outlook. And then as we go into Monday, well, just a few pockets we're going to have to watch here. Again, nothing severe at this point, as we're seeing a little pocket there across the areas of the Great Lakes. We got a little bit here across the Northwest and maybe a little bit down here toward the Four Corners. Now, beyond that, once that storm system pulls out of the Rockies, I think as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday, that's when things will get a little more active. Still a little bit far off, but I do anticipate a slight risk of severe weather to return as we head toward the middle of the week. And as we go into the model data, I'll show you why here in a little bit. Okay, so stand by for that. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the hazards outlook. This is updated here for 3 to 7 days. A couple of things I do want to note here is just how much colder things are going to get out in the west. It is going to be quite nippy out there. When you start seeing the hazards outlook there, kind of showing you that you're going to be seeing cold conditions. I mean, that's quite telling as you're seeing hazardous cold. You see they're showing up there in that blue, the purple there showing frost and freeze. And then you also got the wind, that brown, that's the brown there. So you got dynamics are changing out in the west. It's going to be very active out there. Probably going to get a little snow out there in the mountain region as well as we go into the upcoming week, as it's going to get progressively colder for the folks from Montana all the way down into the Arizona and into New Mexico as well. Now, the tropics still remain quiet. Right now, the National Hurricane Center 7-day outlook is not developing anything. Now we're pushing into November. It seems like the model runs are still want to try to develop something, but they keep pushing it back, keep pushing it back, keep pushing it back. Like I told you before, I really am privy to the European model. Until I see something there, then I'll start getting excited. I know there's been some postings out on social media showing potential development, but as I said, just hold on. I'll tell you when to get worried. Right now, looking out there, just nothing to be concerned out there right now. Got a little cluster of thunderstorms here off the Yucatan, some activity across the intertropical convergence zone, but it's starting to shift further south now, so I'm not really worried about that right now. We're still going to be watching this areas in here for potential development as we go into the next 7 to 10 day period, still beyond the 7-day, because right now the 7-day is not showing a whole lot. Let's go ahead and take a look at the ECENS ensemble model. Again, this kind of runs several different models. We take a look and see where they're going to develop stuff, and you kind of get an idea of where. Right now, what it's showing here on its run is a couple of areas that we're watching. You got a little area up in here, and we can still watching that area down there in the Southern Caribbean for potential development. Again, kind of the 7 to 10 day period out. So we've got a little ways to watch this, and we'll see if that kind of comes to fruition as we get into the month of November. I still think we're going to probably get at least one named storm, maybe two, before we wrap up the hurricane season for 2024. We'll see how that works out for us here. Let's go and shift over to the model guidance here. Now, this is showing you the pressure differences. Okay, when you see the yellow, you know that's high pressure. When you see the blue, that's lower pressure. Okay, so we're looking right here at the European model here, and for the most part, you see high pressure across the Gulf of Mexico, a big part of the southeastern portion of the United States as we go here over the next several days. Doesn't really change all that much. Let me back this up to the 0Z done because I want the longer run here. But as we go through time, the Europeans still showing some lower pressure. They're coming into the Caribbean there. You see it, they're kind of north of the Hispaniola and north of Puerto Rico, but doesn't develop anything there. You see that lower pressure kind of right in here, but not kicking anything, not developing anything. Now, the American GFS model, different story. It's still trying to develop something here. Again, watch that timestamp in that upper right-hand corner as we go. We're still showing that high pressure there across the southeast. It starts to give away. Then we see a couple areas trying to develop. Again, the ECENS model was showing this too, showing something over here and then something down here. So those are the two areas we're watching. This goes beyond the first and going into later. So it's a little bit more aggressive as it has been. It's trying to build a couple of things. So one of these systems becoming a storm right here. It's 974. So it's showing a probably maybe a Category 1 hurricane there, getting near the island of Hispaniola there and heading near Puerto Rico as we go into the 4th. But again, we don't have anything developed yet, so don't worry about this yet. This thing kind of lingers off and then it kind of pulls on off. So we'll see how this works out. We got a few days to watch this, but we'll see if we actually get patty to form here out in the tropics as we go into the first week of November. So until something develops, I'm not going to get too worried about that for right now. Let's talk about the global jet stream pattern. We're going to be looking specifically over the continental United States. You know, that jet stream what drives the weather across the country. And when you get those big troughs and ridges, that's when the pattern's getting more amplified. And you're going to notice that here as we go through this new coming work week. We're going to be watching specifically some of this energy here off the West Coast that's going to finally move on in here and really take a nosedive as we go into Tuesday. So I'm going to take this all the way up to about Tuesday. Again, we're talking about Tuesday morning here, going in toward the 12th. So what that's going to do, it's going to open up the door for some of this colder air to kind of funnel in here across the Intermountain region. And as this thing begins to shift out into the plains, especially as we go into your Wednesday, that's when we'll see things get a little more interesting. So I'll take this out the Wednesday morning in here, and it's going to be out in here as we go throughout the day Wednesday. We'll be watching this area right in here for the potential for some severe weather. Again, I'm not talking about a major outbreak here, folks. I'm talking about probably a slight risk of severe weather here. Does it get enhanced? I don't know. We'll wait and see on that, but I do think the dynamics are there. We got the upper energy. We're going to have a lot of warm air ahead of this. We're going to have the cold air clash. As we go into November, we sometimes always refer to that as the secondary severe weather season. So this looks conducive for me to see the potential going into Wednesday. And then as this pulls on out, well, it looks like the jet starts to flatten out a little bit. We get a little more of a zonal flow here a little bit. But as we go into the weekend, what's interesting to watch as they take this all the way out is we get another big jet stream here start to take place here. And we also start to see the subtropical jet start to get engaged with it. So when these two jets get together, it's what we call phasing. When they kind of team up, that usually means a little more robust potential storm system. Again, this is still 10 days out, but we'll see how this kind of works out. We get a nice little dip in the jet stream, boom, as we go into going into Monday, going in toward the 4th of November. So you got a pretty good dive in the jet stream here, and you got the subtropical jet stream getting here as well. When those two teams come together, that means we may get some rain in some areas that definitely need it, and may be a nice little blessing with that. But that's a pretty decent trough there going in, again, going into the 4th of November in about 10 days. So we'll see if that holds true or not as we go through the forecast period. Let's look at the precipitation here now. Again, for this weekend, we're looking pretty good. You got Saturday and Sunday looking very nice, except for Sunday. Obviously, we got the storm system coming in here on the west coast. They'll be dealing with a little bit of rain along this boundary here to the south, but it's not going to amount to much, folks. It's really, if you got any plans here for Saturday and Sunday across the southeast, it's going to stay pretty warm there. A little chilly across areas of the northeast as we go into portions of Monday. That's definitely going to be nippy up there. You see those blue lines coming down. That's your 540 freezing line, so it's going to be kind of nippy there in the northeast. But as we go through time, again, we're going to watch what happens as we watch for this energy that's kind of coming across the Rockies here on Tuesday, and as it ejects out into the plains on Wednesday. That's when things will start to get a little more active. So let's take this into Wednesday, again, going in toward the 30th there as we go into late afternoon. Boom. So that's going into late afternoon. We're watching the potential here for some thunderstorms, and some of these have the possibility, I believe, of being severe as we go late in the day on the 30th, okay? Now, as we track this into Halloween, obviously, folks, there will be trick-or-treaters and stuff. You're going to be looking at umbrellas or not. Let's take this all the way through into trick-or-treating. Got rain that's going to be coming through the Midwest, going into the Northeast, and we'll stop it right there. So this is about 7, 8 o'clock here. Going on to the evening, you notice the rain here stretching from the northeast, stretching back into the southeast, which it needs it. A little bit of rain out here in the west, but we'll have to need the umbrella here in some places here on Halloween as this rain moves on and through. Then we'll see our next storm system start to develop here, and this one looks a little more robust. We'll see a little more rain here coming across the south central portion of the United States. Need that rain as it's been very, very dry, and this will actually come into the Midwest and last a few days here. I mean, that's a pretty good, robust system here as we're seeing a lot of rain here across areas in the Midwest, stretching back into the southeast, finally getting into Alabama and Georgia, and these areas getting some rain as we get some cooler temperatures moving into this. Again, we got a little subtropical moisture that will enhance that rain as well. So some much needed rain may move into some parts of the country that have been asking for it. So hopefully this will hold out. Again, this is still 10 days out, but at least a promising sign as we're starting to see that evolution and the development of the pattern changing. So through the weekend, again, we'll just kind of go through the weekend here a little bit. The only place really getting some decent rains out here is going to be out here in the Pacific Northwest. A little bit here in the southeast, mid-south, not really adding up to all that much. That's really not really the main rain. So weekend not looking too bad, except for there in the northwest. But as we go through the week, again, as we go into Tuesday, watch that next storm system come out here going into Tuesday and into Wednesday. That's when we'll see some more rain there break out in the middle of the country. Boom, you see it kind of breaking out there across Minnesota, Wisconsin throughout the day, and then areas down here to the south. So we're getting some more rain down here across Minnesota and Wisconsin. That's some good news there. Some much needed rain, but watch what happens when we take this thing all the way out. Again, we're going to tap some of that subtropical moisture with that next system development. And look at that. Wow. That would be very, very nice. This areas in here have been very, very dry. We'll see some much needed rains there. Continue with a kind of a onshore flow there out in the west with some heavy rains out in the Pacific Northwest and Oregon. That'll continue. But this is a good sign here that we finally will get some decent rains across the country, which we have not seen for a lot of October. All right, I've been doing this all for the last few days. I'm going to continue to do this. Let's look at we're going to look right now at the temperature here forecast here. You're going to see the cool air for the weekend. Sunday, again, you're looking here, a little cool pocket here. Briefly warm out in the west. That's not going to last long, folks, okay? As we watch that jet stream really take a dive heading toward Tuesday, as we head toward Tuesday. Look at a big warm up here in the middle of the country here as I take this out to Tuesday morning. It's a very, very warm air out ahead of this. You're seeing that cold air coming in out of the west, and you got the retreating cool air across New England there going into Tuesday. As we go throughout the day on Wednesday, these air masses are definitely going to clash here together as that front pushes off toward the east. You notice that front air kind of coming through here. We got a nice cold front. As some of that cold air bangs into that warm air, that's what's going to set up those thunderstorms and that potential for some active severe weather on that day. And then that begins to push on off and then cools down briefly there across the areas of New England and the Midwest. And look at this, very, very chilly out here in the West going into the following Friday. So it's going into a November the 1st with that cooler air. And then as we go and take this out to the end of it, retreats on out, still kind of staying below normal out toward the west, but even that starts to modify and still staying kind of above normal with the temperatures there across areas of the eastern portion of the United States as we head toward the 4th of November. Now let's go ahead and switch this over to the actual temperatures. I do want to show the temperatures here as we're going to take a look at the different zones across the United States. So let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at the eastern half of the United States. I want to show the temperatures, okay? We're going to talk about temperatures here for your Halloween. So let me back this up here. We're going to back this up to right about there. So this is going into Halloween evening as we're going to see temperatures here. Look at 50s. You're looking at 50s and 60s here across the Northeast. A lot of 70s here across the South. But behind that front, obviously across the Midwest, we'll see temperatures dropping into the 50s and 40s. So the kids probably gonna need some jackets there with their costumes for sure as we head into that portion of Halloween Day. Let's go ahead and check out the central portion of the United States. That's not looking too bad here. Let's look at the central here. The north central especially. Boy, this is going to be quite nippy. Look at this. We're talking 30s and 40s here. Yikes, that's quite nippy to say the least, and that'll continue. The south central, though, that area, boy, we're talking temperatures down here. We're talking about temperatures down here sitting into the 70s and 80s around here. We're talking pretty warm air, to say the least, right through here. Boom, boom. That's going to be quite warm, to say the least. In the Intermountain region, the west, oh my Lord, that is going to be nippy cold. Check out the temperatures out here. You're talking a lot of cold temperatures there across Utah or areas of Colorado, Wyoming, Idaho. Kids definitely going to need the jackets out there, as it's going to be quite nippy and quite cold there on your Halloween evening. So just make sure you dress appropriately. Again, I got that rain chances there from northeast down into the south central portion of the country. We may need umbrellas, but it's definitely going to be cold out here in the western portion of the United States. Let's wrap things up and take a look at the climate outlook here, see how things are comparing with our forecast modeling. Again, continue with below normal temperatures again the 31st through the 4th. We saw that on Halloween. It's going to be nippy out here, but warm and mild out here in the eastern half of the United States. And as we go deeper into the month, the 2nd through the 8th, most of the country above normal. This starts to modify out here in the west a little bit, but we definitely are seeing a pattern switch, as the good news is the rain chances are starting to come up. Yeah, we're starting to see more of this. Above normal precipitation across Texas and Oklahoma. Again, we get some of that subtropical moisture to come up around here. That's going to be a welcome sign to see. We need the rainfall, and that trend continues even toward the 8th. More of the country seeing above normal precipitation, although we get a little bit of a break here across areas of the Northwest and down toward California with below normal precipitation as we head deeper into the first week of November. So looks like we're in store for some potential for some active weather coming our way as we go into the first week in November. Again, a couple of severe weather rounds looking at Wednesday, and then maybe going into the following weekend. We'll have to watch closely to see where we might see. Again, I'm looking at like a slight risk of severe weather for a couple of days going into next week. Something to watch there. And then, like I said, the patterns get a little more progressive, so we'll have to track and see where the next storm systems line up, and obviously when we may get a couple of additional cold shots that come down toward the middle of the month of November. Hey, now if you'd like to make this weather daily as part of your YouTube feed, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button. Yeah, hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you like what you see with this report, and you got any comments, any feedback, anything you'd like to see, please leave a comment down below. And I do appreciate y'all's feedback and help supporting the channel. All right, that's your update here for your Saturday morning. You guys be good, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.